Shalom, Yasharala. This is your brother Dawud Daw from GMS Tampa Bay '07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rucha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And citation and much love for you, Arkan, pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. All right, I'm going to jump into this here lesson dealing with the confusion of faces, all right? So, if you newly coming into this thing, this is, one of the let's say a stumbling block. You hear us on the highways and the byways talking talking about the so-called white man is the devil and this and that. If you really new into this, you might ask yourself, are all white people not gonna make it, or are they all bad? Speaking like that. And in this lesson I'll use a lot of milk language, the white man, the black man, but nevertheless, when we speak about these things, we say that, the children of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And most people would think of those people based on like a skin color, and, but it's a lot deeper than that. All right. So, in this lesson, we're going to point out, throughout the scriptures, different examples of where the children of Israel, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans wound up mixing themselves amongst the seeds of the people they were among. All the captivities they were in, they started mixing themselves with the people. The scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun. So just like they're doing it today here in Babylon, they did it in all the prior civilizations. So for an example, if you was to look up Blake Griffin, all right, the basketball player Blake Griffin, he's a light-skinned man, right? You look up his father, you get a picture of his father. His father is a so-called Haitian, he's a Levite, children from the tribes of Israel, okay? But nevertheless, he's a very, very dark-skinned man, all right? Blake Griffin's father is a very dark-skinned man, he's like almost the same color tone as Akon, the rapper Akon, But nevertheless, this guy's a really dark-skinned man, and I believe his wife might have been like an Edomite or something, a really, really light-skinned woman, nevertheless, she looked white, But nevertheless, Blake Griffin comes out, he looks really light-skinned, Now, Blake Griffin has a child with a woman who, I don't know what her nationality is, but she looks straight up like a straight white woman, a so-called white woman, blonde hair, blue eyes, that type of deal, Then their son comes out, blonde hair, blue eyes, Now, when this kid grows up and everything like that, you would just walk by him, you would just think, okay, this is a so-called Edomite or a so-called, white kid, Now, if he was to have a kid with another so-called white woman, that line, they would just, although he's a Levite, a so-called Haitian, and what we would think of as Haitians would be extremely, extremely dark-skinned people. This guy's not going to look like that, This kid is looking, like if you ever seen the movie Children of the Corn, really blonde, white hair, really, really white skin, the complete opposite of what we would, picture in our head as a description of a so-called Haitian, Normally when you describe Haitians to somebody, like, oh, what does a Haitian look like? They're really dark-skinned people. You wouldn't think of them looking like Macaulay Culkin type of deal, So, it's not about your skin color and the color of your skin on the outward appearance, But that is, a lot of the times a strong indicator of who is who and what is what, But nevertheless, we were scattered throughout the whole globe, throughout the four corners of the earth, So, and being in those different places, we would mingle ourselves with the other nations, all right? So we're going to jump into the scriptures. Now, this is in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. This is pretty much the covenant or the contract that we came into agreement with the Most High with, all right? He said, look, if you follow my law, statutes, commandments, when you read Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14, he says, look, you keep my law, statutes, commandments, I'm going to bless you with this, all right? Now, from 15 on down, he said, if you break my law, statutes, commandments, all right, this is going to happen to you, all right? And these are the curses that we under at the point in time that we at now because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, so I'm going to just jump down to verse 64. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 64. It says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even to the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. All right, so, the Most High is telling us as part of the curses, if we didn't follow the law, statutes, commandments, this is going to happen to you. And he said, I was going to scatter you among all people, all different nations, that are on the face of the earth. The Most High said, I'm going to scatter you among all these different nations. All right. And it also said, I'm going to scatter you from one end of the earth, even to the other end. So in all the different nations, that's where we was going to be. All right. I'm going to jump down to verse 68. It says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there thou shalt be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. All right, so basically we was going into captivity again. All right, and so what you have to understand now, this captivity that this was talking about here is basically the transatlantic slave trade, because that was the captivity where we were scattered from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. All right, once we came over here in Babylon, that transatlantic slave trade, we was shipped from from Africa to this, or from the how did I say, the eastern side of the eastern side of the globe to the western side of the globe. All right, where no man had dwelt before. Now the 10 tribes that was already over here prior to that, they had been scattered to the opposite side of the globe. All right, so this is an example in the scripture of some of the curses that we under, and this is what will befall the children of Israel. All right, so step one, we was already scattered amongst all these other nations. All right, next precept I'm gonna grab is in the book of not second Ezra, the book of Ezra, chapter 9, I believe. This is Ezra chapter 9 verse 1. It says, "And when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites." All right, so it's saying here, it says that the people of Israel, they have not separated themselves from the people of the land, from these other nations. All right, so at this point in time, let me read the next verse 2. It says, "For they have taken their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and the rulers have been chief in this trespass." All right, so basically what's going on here is saying that the children of Israel, mainly, okay, the sons of Israel, all right, this isn't saying that they was giving their daughters unto these like the Moabites, the Ammonites, and so on and so forth, but it was the opposite. As we were scattered amongst these people, the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Hittites, the Canaanites, and the Egyptians, and the Amorites, once we were scattered into there, we was taking their daughters. All right, and we was taking their daughters for what? To how do you say, procreate. They was having sex with them, having babies with them. They were still Israelites, but they was just now, you know what I'm saying, they was being mixed with, not really to say mixed with these seeds, because you don't have mixed, you can't be a mixed race, you are what your father is. All right, he don't have mixed seeds inside of him. All right, just like if you have a California orange, all right, and you take it, and what makes it a California orange? It's like orange is growing over in California, but you take it and you plant it in Florida. All right, now you got, it's still an orange, but the seed or the genealogy of the let's say the fruit is not going to change from whatever it is, whether you plant the orange here or in California, or you hydroponically plant it into some water. It's not going to change it being an orange. It's just going to be where it's from, what location that seed was planted in. Same with human beings, no matter where Israelite or any nation, there could be Edomites as well, or Elamites, any man. All right, wherever he plants his seed is still his seed. All right. Now, as far as how do I say, in a carnal sense, how we see things nowadays, you could have like the Blake Griffin effect. All right, I'll call it that, the Blake Griffin effect. How homeboy just wound up changing colors throughout his genealogy from mixing with other nationalities or people that look different than you. All right, and so that's what you have going on here in the history of the scriptures. All right, these people. So you would have, for an example, Israelites men, all right, having Egyptian women and getting them pregnant, all right, and Israelite men taking, let's say, I think they said Moabites in here, Moabites, Chinese women, all right, now they having babies with the Chinese women and Japanese women, all right, and so on and so forth, all right. So it says, verse 2 again, Ezra 9 and 2, it says, "For they have taken their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed," okay, the separate seed, the one that was supposed to only be with the Israelites, "have mingled or mixed themselves with the people of those lands." All right, so they didn't mixed with other nations. "Yea, the hands of the princes and the rulers have been chief in this trespass." And you pretty much have that the same way today. The chief people of our nation, what do? The people like that are in positions, the people, the Jakes in positions of, like, let's say Denzel Washington's, these musicians, the Jay-Z's, Jake that's in high places, whenever Jake so-called get established and made it, according to the Edomite society, get them some money and stuff like that when they so-called go corporate, give up the so-called street life or the hustling life to get by. Not to say that that's what they should be doing, like selling dope or nothing, no shit like that. But there's just there's a little difference in certain things of certain type of jobs. And when Jake gets certain type of jobs, they like to toot their nose up, like, oh no, we're better than them. We don't, this and that. They so-called forget what they came from because they was put in a position, And once they get put in this position, what do? They so-called try to assimilate, Prime example, what's that girl name? Raven Simone. She act like she a straight Edomite now. She don't even be called a black woman. I'm just a woman, and she got the blonde hair, this and that, because being who she was too much for her. All right. So, this the same thing going on and on and on, The chief people of our nations today, what do they want to do? Assimilate or mix with the people that's on top, the people that's in rulership of the kingdom that we staying in. All right. So when it was the Moabites, what you think Jake, in prominent places was trying to do? Get with Moabite women. All right. Because we was in captivity. We was at the bottom. So it would seem low standard to be with your so-called own people, because they're at the bottom. But if you get the people who got you in captivity, one of their women, you seem like you at a higher status. All right. And so the same thing happens today. All right. These basketball players, movie stars or whatever, whatnot, they want to go and they make it out of the so-called trap. You know what I'm saying? And now, they got them a couple $1 million or whatever, whatnot. They go get them Edomite women, or women from other nations. All right. Nothing new under the sun. And then when they have kids, they still going to be Israelite kids. They just going to probably look a little different than your natural so-called default Israelite look, This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 9. It says, my heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. All right. So basically it's saying, the Lord said, my heritage, who is his heritage? Israel. All right. Jacob is a lot of my inheritance. All right. But nevertheless, I believe that's in Deuteronomy. Let me see. Going off a little bit, but Deuteronomy 32 and 9, it says, for the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is a lot of his inheritance. All right. So we know that the Israelites, is the Most High's inheritance. Where's that at? Jeremiah and 12. Okay. So it says, verse 9, it says, my heritage, or Israel, is unto me as a speckled bird. So what is a speckled bird? It's a spotted bird, or how do I say, so imagine like you see one of those red birds or one of those blue birds, a solid, one colored, it don't got no spots on it or nothing like that, but nevertheless, this here bird, let's say it was one of those red birds, now he got some blue spots on him, like, whoa, he mixed with something, he a little different, or like, basically it's like saying like a mutt, like hey, that's one of them neighborhood dogs. All the dogs around the block done had a chance with that dog, now look at these puppies. That's like half pit bull, half chihuahua, half German shepherd, and half, I don't know what the fuck, that type of shit. All right. So, and it says, the birds round about are against her. All right. We was in captivity in these other nations. Come ye assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. And yeah, we wound up, like the scriptures say, we mingled our seed with these other nations when we didn't separate ourselves from these nations. All right. So just like how you have a like a mutt dog, it's not a purebred no more. Same happened with Israel. All right. This is the book of Daniel chapter 9 verse 5. It says, we have sinned and committed iniquity and have done wickedly and have rebelled even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. All right. And that was what we was reading in the book of Deuteronomy 28 with the curses. All right. The both side, that was the contract. All right. Now we reading here that we already went off from that. All right. And it says, verse 6, neither have we hearkened unto thy servants. So like, give me 1 second. It says, neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. All right. So just like today, you have the men of the Lord that's on the highways and the byways telling our people to come back to the law, statutes, commandments. And the majority of our people, they just walk by. They don't listen. They don't hearken. All right. They want to keep being basically Babylonians and doing the Babylonian thing. All right, they got this new stuff with what they call like swirling, I guess, with these Jake women dealing with Edomite men now. They're trying to come all the way up. But nevertheless, they don't really even know what they're doing. They destroying their own goddamn self. But nevertheless, it says verse 7, O Yahweh, righteousness belong unto thee, but unto us, the children of Israel, but unto us confusion of faces. Okay? And what does the scripture mean by confusion of faces? If I was to tell you that, look, like when we on the highways and the byways, we say, all right, listen, the children of Israel are the Negroes, the Latinos, and the Native Americans. All right? But then, you have some people, but then we also say that, the spirit beareth witness. All right? We try the spirit by the spirit. All right? So, you'll have a scenario where, like we have, where we be at camp, nowadays, we have a little Irish dude, we was actually speaking on this one week at camp. And we was talking about, the Edomites and the Edomites going to captivity, this and that. And we had this like bugged out ass, he looked like a Jake. He was bugged out, and this was all through the spirit. He might not even have been no Jake, but he just looked like a damn Jake. He was probably like a fucking chocolate Edomite, a black Edomite, and that's being facetious. It ain't no such thing as a black person. You ain't gonna have no Edomite Israelite. All right. You can have an Edomite that look like, a so-called black man. That's what we describe in here. All right. But then you can also have an Israelite that look like a so-called white man. All right. And so that was the example that, I believe all through the spirit the Lord was showing, because we was sitting here arguing with some dude that looked like Jake, telling him that basically he's the children of the Most High. He the princes, princes of the power. You on top of everybody. You know what I'm saying? And you finna actually be on top and ruling everybody real soon. The Lord finna come back to deliver you. All you got to do is come back to the law, statutes, commandments. He gonna destroy your enemy, the white man. But then that was the red flag. But wait a minute, hold on. And all the whole time we speaking on this and debating and trying to give them the facts. You have this little small looking for a lack of a better terms, we'll say for the milk conversation, a so-called white dude walk up, right? He's all into this, listening, and we had another person there. I don't know if it was a male or a female or whatever the hell situation was going on, but they also looked like an Edomite, and they was both just drawn into it, and you could just tell just by the look in their eyes, you know what I'm saying, that they was hearing some shit that was like, damn, I know what the fuck, I've heard this song before. I know this song, I just can't put my finger on it. And they was just so in the zone. It was just like, yo, this is the truth that you spitting. You know what I'm saying? And the things that we were saying wasn't in a light way, speaking lightly or nicely towards so-called white people. But these people in the flesh look like so-called white people. And they was so-called being comforted by the words we were speaking. All right. But yet the so-called black person that we was talking to, all right, who was very uncomfortable in the scenario and was all, just all over the place. It seemed like he wasn't who we thought he was, But nevertheless, we wound up finding out that the little so-called white dude that was out there was actually I believe he was Irish or something like that, And actually our people was spread over there. Those were actually our people over there, But predominantly they look, like so-called white men. But you could tell by certain different things and traits and things that they do, So it's not about skin color, all right? So, like I was saying that day at camp, that was a prime example. We over here speaking, to what looks like to be a black man, all right, and he bugging out like he actually an Edomite, But then his spirit was acting just like an Edomite, But then there was two other, so-called white people that was standing there. They just happened to walk by, and hear this, and they was just like, yo, they didn't say a word. They was just listening, And they was just like, you could just tell them, the look in their eyes, like, this is the truth. This is the shit I've been missing my whole life. What the hell is this? You just knew that was the music to their ears. Like, I know this song. And they was getting down to it. They was just stuck like a deer in headlights, You knew that message was for them. All right. So, and come to find out, we asked the one dude about him. He was like, oh, no. I'm like, Irish. And we hadn't even said anything about the Irish people. So he couldn't have overheard us saying that and just trying to jump on the bandwagon. He didn't even know what he was confessing to be the truth. Like we could we could tell just by how your countenance at this point in time. All right. The wicked wouldn't understand. And that's what the so-called black man was acting like in front of us. He couldn't understand what we was trying to tell him. All right. But yet, these so-called white people, they was like getting it as if that was music to their ear. And now we do know that 2/3 ain't going to be able to get it. They'll hearken, but they're not going to follow. All right. So, continuing on, it says, Daniel 9:7, it says, O Yahweh, righteousness belong unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. as at this day the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of their trespass that they have trespassed against thee. All right, so again, we read in here that unto all the children of Israel, the northern and the southern kingdom, there's something that's called the confusion of faces that's taking hold of them. All right, why? Because the Most High, we wound up breaking his law, statutes, commandments, and the Most High said, look, I'm going to scatter you in all four corners of the earth, in all different nations. And what do? As according to the book of Ezra, we didn't separate from the people. We wound up mingling our seed with these people. All right, and so what are we reading here in Daniel? Well, what do you think is going to happen if you live in amongst black people, living amongst a whole bunch of Chinese people for thousands of years, Once black people start having babies with these Chinese people, you're going to have, like today's terms, they call them Blasians. You see what I'm saying? They're going to just look completely different. So that's what you have going on after all these different generations. That's why it's not about your skin color thing, although that's somewhat of an indication, but, after, that's like the first line of, off the checklist, like, what I'm saying? Like, you can go down the line like this, like, well, only the Israelites gonna make it. Well, how do we know he's an Israelite? Like, well, first of all, is he an animal or a human being? Like, is it a dog or is it a human? Well, it's not an animal. All right, that's the first check mark. All right, you see what I'm saying? Going on down the line, but nevertheless, like I said, the children of Israel, they have been mixed throughout all these other nations, so they're not gonna necessarily look the way they look on the outside. But again, sometimes that's gonna be a great indicator. All right. Here's a actual example of that right here. This is Acts chapter 2 and verse 5. And they were dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, all right, or basically like Israelites, majority of the southern kingdom, all right. The southern kingdom was living in Israel around the time that Yahushua was on the scene, all right. It says, and there was dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. All right, so the seed line, all right, the actual so-called, hypothetical race of these people, all right, are Israelites, all right? That's not going to ever change. They just Israelites, all right? Once you an Israelite, you're going to always be an Israelite, all right? It ain't going to say, like, once you an Israelite. Like, whatever you born is, that's the only thing you can pass down as your seed, all right? Edomite ain't going to ever pop out no Israelite seed. Israelite ain't going to ever pop out no Ammonite seed, all right? Now, Israelite men can have sex and babies with, let's say, Ammonites or Japanese women, all right? But the seed is still going to be Israelite, all right? So it says, there was dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. So they was where? They came from, some of them was born, and we're going to read it. It says, now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together, and they were confounded, because every man heard them speaking their own language. All right, so they out of every nation speaking their own language, and they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not all these which speak Galilean? How hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? All right, so these men came from out of every nation, all right, and they was speaking, different languages, all right. So you can imagine that they actually look like these other people as well too. They might even have some of their customs and the different things from those other places, all right. Just like the slave ships here, all right. Let's just say the so-called Negroes, all right. What's the difference between one ship coming to America and one going to Brazil? All right. Now you have some of Jake, so-called Negroes growing up in Brazil. Amongst the Brazilians, they're gonna wind up taking on their customs, all right. Even though we all the same people, that's just a different tribe. But once Judah start growing up around them, they're gonna start doing the same thing. Same with the so-called Mexicans, the Issacharites. Judah living amongst them. They're going to be eating tacos, dancing how they dance, listening to their music, speaking their language, all right? Because that's who they grew up around, all right? So same here. It says there were Parthians, Medes, Elamites, and dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Egypt, and parts of Libya and Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews, and proselytes. So these men came from out of all these different nations, all right? They might even been calling themselves these different, like, oh, I'm an Elamite, all right? Or I'm an Egyptian, I'm a Libyan, I'm a Roman, all right? They might have been calling themselves these things as far as they citizenship, where they came out of. They well, what country you come from, you know what I'm saying? Just like these damn Edomites nowadays, you got Americans, you got Germans, you got, you know what I'm saying, Russians. They all Edomites. They just, come from different lands, so they call themselves different things, right? But at the end of the day, they still are Edomites, all right? No matter what landmass they was born on, or they want to call themselves like that, you know? Same with here, all right? These Egyptians, these Libyans, these Romans, these are citizens of these places. This is where they lived at, not just like me, all right? I'm an Israelite, you know, through the spirit from the tribe of Judah, all right? But I could also say, look, I'm an American, right? I was born here in America, all right? I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. You see what I'm saying? So you know, they're like, okay, well, where you? Oh, I'm an American. You know, so people ask on a low level, oh, where you from? Oh, I'm from America. You know, I'm American. You know, but it don't change that I'm an Israelite. All right, me and Edomite Tom over here, we both Americans, but we different nations. Okay, just like how you say, oh, we all American. You got your so-called Mexican buddy Juan. All right, and you be like, oh, we all American, but he Mexican. You see what I'm saying? So you can understand it when you're talking about, like, let's say so-called Mexicans that are Americans, you know, oh, they was born in America, they speak English, whatever, whatnot, they American, right? But you would call their nationality what? You would so-called Mexican, right? Same with all these scenarios. We all Israelites, well, not all of us, but, you know, the children of Israel, we all Israelites, no matter where we scattered on the four corners of the earth, or no matter what we look like, or no matter what we call ourselves as far as a citizen of these places, you know? Like, we got brothers in the camps that's out there in Europe. So people will call them Europeans, you know, and then on certain subjects, we'll be like, yeah, the Europeans, these Caucasians is Europeans, the damn devil. But we're not talking about our brethren that's out there that's citizens of Europe, all right, or UK and stuff like that, all right? So, let me just read verse 11. It says, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongue the wonderful works of the Most High, all right? So, you know, that was an example of all these different men coming from out of different nations, you know, having their own different tongue, probably their own different customs, being citizens of these different places, all right? But they all Israelites. At the same time, they all Israelites, all right? They DNA and bloodline don't ever change, all right? It's the same deal. We're going to close out with this in the book of Revelation, chapter 7. All right? So, this is dealing with, you know, the children, or the people that's going to be delivered, all right, which is the children of Israel. So, I'm going to just start at verse 3. It says, Revelation 7:3, it says, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So, this is the key basic foundation here. Only Israelites is going to be saved, no matter what. All right, so this part is never going to change. No matter what else you read, this part's never going to change. So you have to keep that part in mind. They all Israelites, all right? So it says, of the tribe of Judah, there was sealed 12,000. And of Reuben, sealed 12,000. And of Gad, sealed 12,000. And so, you know, these are the different tribes. 12 tribes, 12,000 men. But, you know, as a hypothetical right here, it says out of the tribe of Judah was sealed 12,000. That's the so-called Negroes, right? The tribe of the so-called Negroes. All right, does that mean that every last one of them gonna be looking like my complexion, Wesley Snipes or anything like that? Nah, not all 12,000 of them are gonna probably look like that. All right, some of them might look like they so-called Mexicans. Some of them might look like they so-called white men. Some of them might look like they so-called Chinese men. All right, but they all from the tribe of Judah. They could be just scattered in these different lands, or, you know, had a Blake Griffin effect going on. All right, so when we get down to the tribe of Levi, verse 7, it says the tribe of Simeon sealed 12,000. The tribe of Levi sealed 12,000. So let's say Blake Griffin, or Blake Griffin's son, was going to be one of those 12,000 men to be delivered. All right, he's of the stock of the children of Israel, of the tribe of Levi. Let's just say he was one of those ones chosen. When you see him being delivered up, you might, you know, flip your shit. Wait a minute, what this white boy doing over here? Hold up. You said the Haitians. They probably like the darkest of all the tribes, you know? But nevertheless, it's not about your skin color. It's about that spirit that's inside of you. All right. Now let me jump down to verse 9. And it says, and I beheld, that's the 144,000 that we was just reading about, the 12,000 from out of each 12 tribes. All right. It says, and after this, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number. All right. Now this is the 1/3 that's going to be delivered. All right. Now it says, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So what you have to understand here is this is the stumbling block for the Christian church. They said, where they see it says, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations. All right. Now, what that don't really even mean shit. That's just like saying, look, listen. So for instance, Russia versus America, when we break down Matthew chapter 24, right? Talking about you gonna hear wars, rumors of wars, nations against nations, kingdom against kingdom. All right. So when we hear about kingdom against kingdom, you know what I'm saying? That could be a like, let's say Russia versus America, two different countries versus each other. All right. But then also we say the difference between that and the nations versus nations. That's just like, okay, Russia versus America is two different countries, right? At war. But nation versus nation could be basically like, not the Civil War, but like a war here in America between Jacob and Esau. All right. The so-called black man or the 12 tribes, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans versus the so-called white man. All right. That would be like nation versus nation. All right. But here, you know, it says out of all nations. This is more or less talking about out of all these other nations, that these people are out of all these other races of people. All right. The people, our people who is, how do I say, mingled or not mingled, our people that were scattered amongst all these other nations, like the scriptures say, that was part of our curses. We was going to be scattered into all these other nations, these other races of people. We was going to be scattered with them. Then we also read how in that scenario, we also mingled with those people. We didn't separate from those people. So now our children are starting to look like these children. All right. They don't look like the so-called pure, so-called black man no more, so-called Native American man no more, so-called Latino man no more. They don't always look like that all the time. You know, another prime example, Cameron Diaz. All right. Christina Aguilera. All right. These are two so-called Hispanic women. All right. But yet they don't look like Hispanic women. They look like straight, like blonde hair, blue eyed white women, Edomite women. All right. But nevertheless, you know, these are actually Israelite women. All right. So let's say they was going to be chosen to be delivered. All right. And you see them being delivered up, you know, and like, wait a minute. What's all these white people? I remember y'all preaching, talking about ain't no white people going to be saved. The white man is the devil. Why I keep seeing all these damn white people over here? All right. It's because, first of all, you know, such thing as white and black, but they're not Edomites. All right. We only say the so-called white man is because that's something that you can understand. All right. And the so-called black man, we know that there's no such thing as those terms. All right. And it's not about your skin color. We're not looking at people for their skin color. Like, okay, you a Jake because you got black skin. No, you're not an Israelite because you got black skin or dark skin or melanin in your skin. That don't make you an Israelite. Not at all. All right. Esau, the so-called white man, is the same ass shit. You know, we twin brothers. We come from the same mother and the same father, man. The only thing with him is this nigga got, how they call today in modern day term, like vitiligo or some shit, you know, which is in the scripture called leprosy. All right. He blackened his skin pigmentation. So he the same as us. He just blackened. You see what I'm saying? He got a deformity or some shit, you know? It's like a motherfucker who was born with like a short arm or some shit, or a midget, you know? He's still human. He just had a birth defect or some shit, you know? Something wrong with his ass. You know what I'm saying? Don't change that he a human being or nothing like that, you know? Or you born with like just nubs or something for limbs, you know? Something like that. Like, well, I mean, he's still human, although he wasn't born like the rest of us was actually born. You know, there was a deformity or something. That's what you got going on with Esau. He's just a clean leper. All right. But it says, verse 9 again, it says, Revelation 7:9, it says, after this I beheld and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues. All right. Out of all these people came out of all these other nations, out of all these different peoples, out of all these different tongues. Like here in Babylon, we have to do the same thing here too, man. You know, you don't think of it this way, that way, because you like, so I give you the scripture. The Most High said, come out of her, my people. All right. And also this is not your rest, meaning separate yourself from the Babylonians, motherfucker. Stop trying to be like them. We was once Gentiles. All right. The same thing, you know, that's more or less spiritually and how do I say, with your customs and things like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, coming out of her, my people isn't something that you can actually like more or less see like that. You know what I'm saying? You can see people, oh, I don't celebrate Christmas no more. I don't do all this bullshit. You can see that, but you know, but the other way around, the flip side of all that is a skin color. All right. Now, in this point in time, these people are actually going to be coming up out of these people physically. All right. And then you're going to see an actual physical, how do I say, an actual physical spot on these people, because they was what? Mixed with these people. All right. So when the children of Israel start, like how the scriptures tell us to come out of her, my people, talking about Babylon. All right. Mentally, spiritually, when this is happening, what we're reading here. All right. When the Lord go and deliver the children of Israel that's still over in Moab, when they starting to look like Chinese people. All right. Or when, you know, the Israelites is looking like Chinese people over in Moab. Hey, they're going to be drawn from over there too. They're going to be drawn out of these different nations, peoples, and tongues. All right. Yeah, with that, we're going to go ahead and close out. Wellness here lesson was edifying. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push in this truth and sincerity in the four corners of the earth. Stay strong. Shalom.